Well, good morning. So, happy St. Patrick's Day yesterday. Hope everybody celebrated a little bit anyway. We're all Irish at some point. Anyway, I'm working my way through what conscious partners know. Remember, we said most relationships are unconscious, old brain, reactive. But in a conscious relationship, we just know things a little bit differently. This comes from Harville, Hendrix and his wife's book, doing Imago relationship in the space between. So I'm looking at numbers. They have a list of 25. I'm going to do 9, 10, and 11. So 9, conscious partners come together to participate in a sometimes joyful, sometimes painful dance of romantic partnership, and they know why. 10, that anxiety gets aroused between them and how to take steps to prevent negative emotions from taking hold. And 11, they can assume that their partner's intentions are good, even if their behavior is not. So we'll start with number 9. They come together to participate in a sometimes painful, sometimes joyful dance of romantic partnership, and they know why. And I think the key piece here is they know why. So going back to number 5 of what conscious partners know. Number 5 said, the conscious agenda of their relationship is to meet the unmet childhood needs they each brought into the relationship. None of us we're all bent out of shape a bit. None of us are perfect. And I think Harville's key insight was that the Imago is a Latin word for image, the Imago, which we all, as children, created of our caretakers, the person who loves me, who takes care of me, who meets all my needs. But inevitably, that image or imprint or Imago is made up of the people who raised us. Parents, grandparents, whoever was a primary caretaker. But your parents weren't perfect, you're not perfect, I'm not perfect. So inevitably, that image has both positive and negative traits. And so we all have needs that weren't met 100% the first time around. And this is not about blaming parents. Parents do the best they can do. But their key insight was we tend to repeat that pattern because that's what's familiar. And then in a relationship, the needs don't get met again. So in a more conscious relationship, partners understand this, but they choose to participate together in the sometimes joyful dance of romantic partnership. And my little addition to this is that as time goes on, the painful bits show up less and less because you've learned how to fix them. And the joyful bits show up more and more. But none of us are perfect, so we go into the relationship with those imperfections. The purpose of our relationship is to heal that. And as we do that, then we become healed. And we stay with the more joyful parts. Anyway, number 10, that anxiety gets aroused between them and how to take steps to prevent negative emotions from taking hold. So again, none of us are perfect, and so there's always going to be things to talk about in a relationship because anxiety will get aroused, especially at the start. Now, the key is to talk to each other in a way that prevents negative emotions from taking over. And for us, that means using the intentional dialogue process. The safe conversation process takes things out of the power struggle. It doesn't make one person right and the other person wrong. It just, here's what's going on. And so in the mirroring, you're just making sure you hear your partner, try to understand, just to make sure you're here. The validation step is trying to understand why they would say what they say. All right? Coming from their experience, their background, their childhood. Oh, okay, that makes sense. That's how you see it. I see it differently. And if people can consciously do that, they can come to a third place that they can both live with. I've done this for 35 years. If I can keep people in the dialogue process, they'll sort things out. And the thing I like about it, it's not like a cookie cutter. Like what might work for you might not work for my wife and I, but if we keep talking, we'll figure out what will work for us. And last week I mentioned that most issues arise from the objection to difference. And obviously your partner is different from you. And in a conscious relationship, you want to move from judgment to curiosity. It doesn't make them right and you wrong. It's just, here's what's going on for them. And, I tell my couples, most of your buddies, most of your friends aren't doing this. It's a very structured way to communicate, but it takes intentionality and consciousness. But using the safe conversation process will forestall negative emotions from taking over. And it takes one of you to take the initiative and say, hey, something like, wait a minute now, can you just mirror me? Or let me mirror you? Or here's what I heard you say, did I get it? And then, your partner will say, yeah, that's exactly what I've said. Or no, here's the piece you missed. And then obviously the key is to start doing it. It takes practice. But what will happen is, if you can use this process at home and solve something, even if it's something fairly simple, you start to trust the process. That, yeah, we can talk to each other about anything, but you can't attack or withdraw. You want to stay with a safe conversation process so that no negative emotions get triggered. And then the last one, number 11, I think this is a really important one. They can assume that their partner's intentions are good, even if their behavior is not. They can assume that their partner's intentions are good. So even if my partner does something that in the past might take us down the rabbit hole, my assumption is, well, her intentions were good. It didn't work, but it's not because she was out to get me or to be mean or anything like that. And so then we use a safe conversation process. We can figure out ways to do it a little bit differently so it doesn't arouse any problems. Okay, so again, we're just working our way through these 25 sort of statements about what conscious partners know, which is a little bit different than most relationships, what I would characterize as unconscious, old brain, and reactive. Have a great week. Cheers.